Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
Welcome, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here tonight. This is Michael Edley, psychic medium, one of your co-hosts for Two Psychics, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Mary Amy. What's going on, Mary Amy? How are you?
Hey, Michael. How are you? Long time no hear.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
oh
it
my
has.
Gosh.
It has.
And so much has happened in the last 14 days.
Yeah, we had All Hallows Eve, Halloween, All Saints Day, the election, all kinds of good stuff. And here we are, and I think I had an 80-degree November day yesterday, so it's or just about 80 degrees. So it's been a very interesting November so far, to say the least.
Yes, it has, and I do sense that a lot of anxiety has lifted and been replaced with more anxiety. Not by me, but I'm saying it's like changed course, and it's kind of, I don't know, it feels like maybe we're in a vortex, and or we've entered a new timeline. There's a lot going on, a lot of different energies.
And that's the thing, though. It's funny you say that. I have to laugh because it was like we traded one type of anxiety for another. And it's weird because that really keys right in on what's going on. And it's interesting, like, looking at it that way. And I think with the news sensationalizing everything and kind of trying to put, black versus white, left versus right, you have all these aspects of our society just trying to, I guess, survive at this point. And that's what a lot of people are in, this like survival mindset. And then it's like you throw all this crazy, the news and the media and all this sensationalized drama that's fed into everyone every day, and it overloads your senses. And I think that's what we're seeing, people they're very overloaded by all the sensationalized news, the media, just everything that's being thrown at them. And most people can't unplug. It's amazing when you look at the dynamics of different generations and how the phone has affected it. I've seen a lot of these charts on social media lately, and it shows the dynamics of like how couples met, how, people pursued their first career, how they were referred to, just a lot of different aspects of how people navigated life and where they got input from, who they went to try to get information and insight and guidance. And so much of it has shifted in everything, even dating and where someone has met their significant other. It used to be school, work, friends. Now the number one place is online. And it looks like, it's that for everything. Online is number one. And the interesting thing with that, when you're always plugged in, when you're always just on, everything is being fed into you, you have no time to process and digest any of that information and truly discern what's what's really going on. What's the reality? How can I tune into my intuition? How can I tune into my psychic abilities? And that's what I would challenge everyone to do right now. Whether you were on the winning side, the losing side, if you want to look at it that way, or, whatever is going on right now that people are dealing with, you have to harness your emotions. And I know that sounds much easier and, easier said than done, but I'm telling you this from experience. Like, if I were to share different aspects of my story and some of the chaotic energy cycles I went through personally and how I navigated it, and I can tell you, anything that was ever put in front of me, I've persevered through it. And I've gone through some of the craziest, most dynamic changes and multiple aspects of these dynamics hitting me all at once on several different occasions throughout my life. And the one thing is, when we can harness our emotions, we absolutely can get a different perspective, and it can, no matter what's going on outside of us, how we're reacting, how we're responding to that, can always give us a different, more controlled perspective that will balance out our energy. It will give us more insight, more direction. So that's the big thing to challenge everyone right now is just, if you have to turn everything off and kind of tune out temporarily just to ground your own energy, and however that grounding is for you, whether that's going for a walk on the beach, listening to music, sitting on a rock in the forest for several hours as like a Buddhist monk, whatever that is to you, in deep prayer, whatever that means, I would definitely say kind of cut off all the outside noise, try to find that center balance, because that's where you're going to get control back. It's not going to be the external nonsense that's going on and being fed into you. It's going inward, truly finding that grounding energy, finding that divine presence that is present within all of us, and allowing that to help guide and push us forward no matter what the circumstances are. Because regardless of what's going on, there's always going to be a tomorrow that we have to deal with in some way, shape, or form. And don't you want to go about it in the best possible way you can, where you're in control and you're allowing yourself to navigate and move forward in your best possible way, and that's, it's a challenge, but that would be my challenge for everyone, to really take a step back and look at how those external energies are manipulating or misconstruing and throwing our own alignment out of balance.
Yes, I have my own take on everything. Let me regroup right here and say, apologies to everyone. We had a show scheduled for 2 weeks ago, and there was a system issue, a glitch going on for Blog Talk Radio. We couldn't get on and bring on who's our guest this evening. And then last week, I had given everybody some kind of heads up that I wasn't going to be doing a show. We weren't going to be doing a show on Halloween. And I did attend a party. And now I've just been fighting a cold, but I want to share with everyone tonight with Two Psychics. It's episode 35, and it's all about frequency. And we have a guest, Andrea Candee, and she is going to tell us and share with us all about vibrational medicine and chronic Lyme disease. She is a master herbalist. I'll give you a bio on her, and I know that she's holding, and we're going to bring her on probably in about 10 minutes after we do a little chit-chat and we talk about frequency. We also are going to, of course, have callers. We have many people holding right now, and we're excited to take callers. And coming up next week for episode 37, we have Bonnie Rogers. It's November 14th, and she is also a herbalist, and she is specializing in biomagnetism, magnet healing, which I did get, and I will share about that. I did get a treatment by her, and I am how do I say that? I'm giving her as a reference. Or no, how does that work? I'm recommending her. See, I'm losing my mind. Okay.
Giving your own perspective on the biomagnetic treatment.
Yes. I just make up words. We all know that I make up words. So episode the following week, November 21st, I'm excited to tell everyone that we are going to have another guest, Julie Clark, and she's an intuitive angelic channeler. And let me tell you something about Julie. Julie activates. She activates and awakens just by her voice, just by her energy and frequency, and she is lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, so about what's been going on before I tell you about how my event went on Friday and Saturday, I would like to put my 2 cents in. What I sensed was there was so much of this, everyone holding their breath before November, I guess it was, the night of November 5th. And there's a lot to anticipate. And it's the end of something and the beginning of something else, isn't it? It's a new beginning. And after that all happens, whatever the outcome is, it's a start over for everyone. Because all that energy kind of floated away, and now you feel like if you were a balloon and it was popped, there's nothing left. And you have to have self-preservation. And I I'm validating what Michael shared with you about, spending time outside and nature and regrouping. And I suggest grounding yourself, which I always say is all about imagining your feet traveling down deep into the earth, the base of your spine, put all your weight in your bottom. You're in the moment. You're focusing on your breath. You're having gratitude. You're letting go of any tension you have. You're breathing. You're aware of your breath. And it's about turning inward and not focusing on the external, which is the physical reality. Now, we all can come together and have collective consciousness, and we can all have unity, and maybe we will. And I hope we do. And just let me remind you that whatever the outcome and you felt, there is a moment after that and another moment, and here we are. It's a few days later. And I believe in positive outcomes, and our thoughts are a charged impulse, and they carry emotions and feelings, and you can shift. You can shift things. Michael and I speaking, we bring on guests, and we hope that we are sharing information that's bringing awareness and awakening, don't we, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're doing this. If one person can get a different perspective or implement some aspect of what we're talking about into their daily routine, it's going to shift and change, everything that you're dealing with. So, why not try it? Why not give it some kind of effort and look inward, try to, turn off that external noise. And it's interesting, when we look at these things, and with tonight's episode being about frequency, that's really what we're trying to do. If you look at the different frequencies that are out there, you look at high vibrational frequencies of joy, of love, of passion, versus the lower vibrating frequencies of pain, of trauma, of guilt, of fear. The worst thing we can do is live and dwell in those lower frequencies. Those lower frequencies are just going to draw and manifest more of that frequency. Absolutely. And we're going to get into more of this tonight and how like will attract like. And, a lot of the law of attraction and manifesting are absolutely based on the frequencies of attraction, and there is absolutely something to it. I can tell you firsthand, there absolutely is something to manifesting and frequencies and how the frequencies affect us. So be very mindful of the state that you're staying in, that state that you're residing in. If it's a very low vibrational frequency, you have to do something to shake that up and shift it, regardless of what's going on. It's for your highest and best, and no one's going to come and shift your frequency other than you. So it's integral that you be mindful of that, be very present, because that's when we're dealing with frequency and we're dealing with trying to shift our emotions or how these external factors are entering our vibrational field, how our own internal body can manipulate and transform them, whether that's going to be transformed into a positive or a negative aspect, that's our determining factor of how we're approaching it, what our mindset is, how we're going about our daily business, our routines, so it's something that we all need to be mindful of.
And I would like to share over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, I was the guest psychic at this holiday boutique in Pelham, New York. And I know Michael is he's been doing many, many readings. He does them, I guess, every weekend you do them, Michael, or every couple of days?
Yeah, it depends. I do private readings. I do, small and large group readings, and then I do gallery functions and larger events. So I'm doing quite a bit, all the time. So it's a mix of all of it.
Well, I really haven't been doing them for a number of years. Occasionally, I've been more or less focused on, I'm writing this book and I'm hosting, and then I'm trying to pay my bills with some different jobs. But over the weekend, I did this holiday boutique, and I had a room, and it was all new to me. was new people. I'd never been there before. And it's kind of like going and just doing freelance work where you just don't even know what to expect, and it's fun. So I did these psychic readings, and it was really actually a kickstart for me, re-energized, because I got to see some things and it's similar to what we're talking about starting over and things ending, because when you go into a new space, I sat there and I cleared the space. And how do I clear the space? I ground myself, and then I visualize kind of pushing the negative energy out the door. And there was access to an outside door, and pushing out all the negative energy and filling it with light after it left. And then that's how you actually bring new energies in. So if everything's stagnant in a place, like if you move into a new home or you go into an office space or you're in a business and you're selling things and nobody's coming in, I tend to do this. And then all of a sudden there's this shift and new people come in. And that's what I did. And I was booked through the whole weekend, and it was lovely. And I received symbols and signs, and I gave guidance and suggestions. And what I did notice was the common factor, and it's probably always been this way, but it was so evident to me, was this question from everyone that came into my space: was this going to happen, and how could it happen? And it was something new. Everyone wanted something new, something really good and new to happen to them. And it was either a relationship, a love interest, or it was a new job, or it was moving out of a job, retirement. And it's about really breaking energetic patterns. So what I'm trying to say to you is that, again, it's the same theme with new beginnings. And maybe across the globe, everyone's feeling the same thing about starting over. And just because you're starting over in your mind doesn't mean in your physical reality you have to start over. You can start over yourself and everything can remain the same. It's just improved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And a lot of it is how we look at things and how we, and how we approach at things, And what can happen, I think, a lot of times, the fear of failure, or, the ego of wanting to make sure certain things are successful, or, there's a win moving forward in whatever aspect of that is in whatever area of our life. And sometimes we get so caught up with that and so caught up in the outcome that we're not present, and we don't see variables that are going on, that if we just made a little shift, things could just go into such a more positive flow state that would allow us to manifest what we're looking for, So you have to be present, you have to be in the moment, but in doing that, there's also kind of that flip side where sometimes you'll have to take a pause, you have to take a time out, you need to take a step back and look at the big picture, because sometimes when we get so focused on all the small details or all the small variables, that can draw all our attention in, and then we lose sight, or we lose focus on the larger outcome or the larger focus. So there's a dynamic to that. There's a dynamic of keeping that internal flow, keeping that focus, keeping ourselves, centered and balanced. But in doing so, periodically taking that step back, looking at that big picture and seeing how things are unfolding on the larger scale. So we're looking at the micro and we're looking at the macro effects of energy and how the energies are affecting us. But yeah, it's a journey. That's what I would say is we are on the journey, and the journey of an energetic life. And it really is, when we're talking about frequency, frequency is all in the basis of energy, and everything is energy, and that's really what we need to shift our awareness to, and kind of understand that it's an energetic language around us, energetic language in us. And when we can utilize that, major shifts and insight can come from that. Now, what I'm finding interesting is what did you have a lot of like really cool psychic stuff come through, or like out of all your readings, what kind of blew you away? Because I know you've been doing a lot of work with channeling, and we've been doing a lot of stuff on the show, and I think you've even starting to utilize new tools and techniques of doing the reading. So I'm curious, like, what is there anything that we've been doing, or any new type of meditation, or anything that you've done, Mary Amy, that you found really helped bring through some really good insight and guidance for your clients?
Well, I'm really glad you're asking me that, because you're reminding me, because some of it was a big blur because it happened. I just kept getting one after another. So I was doing 20-minute readings from 10 to 5. The first day I missed the readings till noon because I had food poisoning the night before.
Wow.
So I missed but it was full on. And to answer your question, this show and speaking to everyone and having the connection to your energy weekly has definitely improved my psychic skills, and they've morphed. So what would happen, and what I saw happening, was I literally would be standing by someone in the reception room, and they'd start speaking, and I'd start giving them a reading. The ladies that were sitting outside taking the newbies that were coming in just to come to the boutique, the event. And what was going on for me is when people started talking, I immediately see images, and then from the images I connect straight on to who they are and what they're all about, like the most important thing that to them. In their personality, or some kind of, I guess, possession they have. I got some really clear, as midday by the second day, it was just, I was blowing myself away, because I would say the most random, bizarro things, and then they would talk about how the different clients would say, oh, that's what I'm doing right now, or I just did that before I got here. It was great. I guess I'm just better at hearing a voice now. Like, I don't look at the person when I read them. I just read them by their voice, because when I look at them, it's a whole other aspect, and it confuses me, I think.
Okay, so you might have to build upon that, combining the two different type of energetic connections, one through the sound and one through the sight. So that might be something that you can incorporate at a later date, where you're utilizing both of those inputs. But that's awesome. That's very cool. So congratulations. That's awesome. You had a fantastic, super busy weekend.
I really did. Awesome. And then I got sick. But you know what? Like, it's fine. I mean, I felt so happy that it happened. It's all about balance, right? Yeah. It was, you know what, when you haven't done it in a while, and then I thought I could do this the next 5 days in a row, because now I got into the groove of it. And you know what, though? Everyone has these skills. I just believe that they haven't exposed themselves to it. It's not easy, right? We all have to just get through each day.
It's a learning process. That's what everyone needs to understand when they're going through developing your intuition and developing that intuitive guidance into psychic abilities. And then if you want to take those psychic abilities and really try to allow that to unfold into whether it's mediumship or, different aspects of spiritual communication, it's a learning process. And we're always learning, we're always unfolding new skills. And the interesting thing to that is the spiritual realm, our divine guides, will utilize all our knowledge and all the wisdom that we can compile over our lifetime. They will utilize that knowledge to try to give us insight and guidance, and to try to help give that insight and guidance to us so we can allow that to come through for any of our clients. So that's really what it's about, is utilizing all aspects of anything we know, anything that we've experienced. And it's a language of energy, signs, symbols, numbers, names, imprinting knowledge and memories, so yeah, that's cool. So yeah, absolutely allowing it to unfold and just utilizing the different techniques that are coming to you, that's part of the growth process. And that's a beautiful thing where we can kind of step back, get out of the way, and just allow spirit to guide us, allow that divine presence to flow. We're the conduit, and that's when the beautiful information starts coming through,
I did have a woman that follows, I think she follows this show, and she also is on social media. She came to just find me there, which was very interesting. Because nice. I saw her picture, and I said, oh my gosh, I know who you are. And it's funny because the one day I had 3 people wait. One woman waited from 8:30 to noon for me to show up. So I want to say anyone who's listening tonight, who is at the event, because everyone got our 2 psychic cards I had made up. Thank you so much for visiting me, and thanks for listening tonight. All right, so should I get on to our topic and bring on our guest, and then we'll get some callers?
Yeah, it sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, so everyone. So tonight, episode 35, we're going to get into with Andrea Candee, vibrational medicine, and I'm going to mention the topic frequency. Frequency is the number of occurrence of repeating event measures in hertz, repetition in time oscillation. Frequency is a concept related to electromagnetic radio waves, visible light, and sound waves. Waves help to realize how many repeated events. And if you want to go into, I guess it's science, frequency F equals 1/time period T. Healing frequencies for humans heal body cells. Sounds influence human body waves. Therapeutic sounds are beneficial to healing anxiety and depression and your nervous system. Like some of our guests, Shayna Blackmore did a sound bath a few weeks ago or months ago. Singing bowls, gongs, wind chimes create ripple vibrations to heal consciousness. All right, and I'm going to share with you some hertz. If you tune into and you go online, you can either find on Instagram or one of the platforms, you can find these different hertz sounds. I love listening to bells. And it will shift your frequency. Now, Michael mentioned vibrational frequency. We all carry a vibrational frequency, and that's how we attract. Maybe we attract when we're in a happy mood and we have joy in our heart and we feel love. We attract, like attracts like, we attract love. And if we think about it, in fact, I have to tell you that I was down at the boardwalk the other day, personal story, with my little puppy dog, Elsa, and I visualized myself. I sent her a telepathic message. I looked down at her, and I sent her a message to behave because she likes to bark at other dogs. And I sent her a message, mind to mind, of her sitting there quietly, and I was petting her, and I was hugging her. And I literally, the moment I finished doing that, this woman walked up and said what a beautiful puppy dog she was, because I actually carried a certain vibrational frequency that attracted her. Now, has anyone done that? Absolutely not, for months and months and years, because Elsa barks at everyone. So that was interesting. And you can create it through visualization, like I just shared with you. You can also attract negativity. If you're in a bad mood or you're angry and you say, I'm having the worst day in the whole wide world, and you are crying or shameful or sad or angry or mean, and you go to work or you head out in your car, and all of a sudden everyone that you come across in your path for the day has a bad mood, and that's because you're attracting it into your life. Now, if you go online and you look up, for example, 40Hz, okay, that will stimulate memory. 174 hertz, reduce pain and stress. This works, people. I'm telling you, it will help you. It will calm your spirit, your mind, your blood pressure, your heart rate. 285, cell regeneration. 396 hertz, redirect human consciousness. 417 hertz, heals past trauma in positive ways. 432 hertz, emotional mental clarity. 440 unblocks your third eye, which is what we were talking about before, your clairvoyance. 528, love. That's a big one, guys. Love, love, love. 839, positivity. 852, harmony. Shift your mind from depression and anxiety. And 963, you're entering the spiritual world with divine energy. What do you have, Michael?
I have something.
Yes, because you are very wise. You're full of wisdom, Michael Edley.
Well, what's funny,
medium.
Talking about your dog, and I think this is something that I get asked a lot, is, in mediumship sessions or just talking to people about spirit and psychic abilities and energy and frequencies, is, can my dog see things that I can't? What is my dog looking at or barking at that I don't see? And what's funny is, I'll just give you an example. I was doing a reading, had a large group reading over the weekend, and normally animals, they'll come through just like loved ones in spirit. So the same energy when they cross over, they absolutely have a soul. They absolutely reside in the divine realm around us. They come through and they communicate in the same way. And I was doing a reading for this group, and I kept on seeing the spirit of a rabbit. And it was the most weird. It was pretty bizarre. And sure enough, the lady that was hosting this large group party had lost a rabbit. So, had a rabbit in spirit. And it was interesting, just connecting on that level. But when we look at the frequency of energy and where energy resides, animals will see, just give you an example. So when we're looking at like humans, and the human ear can hear, if we're talking about sound frequencies, audible frequencies, we can hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Now, dogs, other animals, birds, insects, they can actually hear and see in different frequency spectrums. So if your dog is barking or your animal is acting a little crazy or something's going on, well, your dog or your animal may be seeing something that you're not. It could be seeing something in the spirit realm, could be hearing something. So it's very interesting. And I always tell people, don't discredit that. And the funny thing was, one of my clients, her mom had passed away, and she had inherited the mom's dog. And she didn't realize the correlation that was going on, but she would pray with her mom's rosary beads. And mom was a very, very devout, Catholic. And I tell people, if your loved one has something, an item of theirs that was handed down to you, or you have it, whether that's a piece of furniture, a coat, a ring, rosary beads, whatever it may be, there's something called psychometry, where someone's energy can be imprinted onto that object, and we can feel or connect to the energy of them. And sometimes when someone feels disconnected, holding on to that item of your loved one can open you to that energetic connection. And, that's one of the things, like as far as media, it's all about frequency. And they say the energy and the frequency of your soul is basically can be imprinted, and we connect to that energetic cycle, and we can feel that, so don't rule out anything to do with frequency, with energy, and any kind of synchronicities that happen around that, So if you're asking, you're trying to connect to mom, and mom, are you around? Give me a sign. And all of a sudden your dog's just barking at nothing that you can see. Well, there might be something going on there, and it can all be an aspect of frequency. So, animals are very tuned into that, and they're very expanded into what they can see on a frequency level.
Yes.
Now,
I always have all these thoughts when you're speaking, and then when it's my turn, all of a sudden I go blank because I can't even keep up with all the different. I'm not kidding.
And sometimes I go on a tangent, and I, squirrel, and my ADD kicks in, and then I go on another tangent. But no, and just another funny aspect when we talk about mediumship and we talk about connecting, when we're trying to sync that up with a frequency, it's 9 hertz. So that's in the alpha state. So a typical dreamlike state falls between the 8 and 12 hertz. Well, the sweet spot for a medium is 9 hertz. So it's all about frequency.
One more last note about when I, spent the last 2 days doing those readings, was realized energy can get really stagnant, maybe in your home or with the people that you surround yourself with, because many of these vendors that were at this event were like accustomed to doing this event and the people that they brought, and it kind of gets stale. What I suggest is, I suggest doing some kind of meditation before, maybe before a big meeting that you're having, or if you are looking to change course, sit down and tune inward and focus on your breath and just relax and think positive thoughts. I know it sounds like, really, is that going to make a difference? It does. I'm telling you, everything that you do can change you. Your belief system matters. And if you block yourself, for example, when I have someone who calls in for a reading, or if, like over the weekend I did one, and everything you say, they say, no, it can't. No, it can't. No, it can't. It's not, they've already decided, no, it can't. Someone asked me, how long do you think I'm going to live? She asked me that. And I said, as long as you want to. You decide. Because you can really change your own life depending on what you say. Okay, we're going to bring on our guest, because now she's been sitting there waiting, and we have so many callers, and we'll just keep talking because we haven't talked in 2 weeks, and I have so much joy here speaking to you, Mike.
Well,
okay.
and our wonderful guest can come on and speak about frequency, probably a lot more in depth than we are.
Oh yeah, exactly. 1,000,000%. Okay, so our guest tonight, pretty exciting, is Andrea Candee. Now, if you have any kind of questions about her, you can go to her website. You can look at this page on Blog Talk Radio. We're also on Spotify. We're also on iTunes, and all of the description is there as well. She is a master herbalist with 35-year practice in Westchester County. She is recognized nationally for her unique and successful approach to addressing chronic Lyme disease. Andrea's, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name properly. Andrea's practice incorporates three-pronged protocols: vibrational medicine, medicinal herbs, and eating for wellness to address Lyme disease, intestinal and sinus issues, asthma, joint pain, lasting effects from COVID, and more. She lectures for the NY Botanical Garden throughout the country and at corporate wellness centers about taking charge of your health naturally. Her book, Gentle Healing for Baby and Child, is Simon & Schuster, received the National Parenting Center's seal of approval. Andrea has a DVD, The Healing Kitchen, Remedies from Nature's Pharmacy, brings her acclaimed workshop to people to help them take charge of their health naturally and with use of foods, herbs, in baths, teas, and more. Now, if you'd like to contact her, it's AndreaCandee.com, and maybe you will connect to her and you will be a private client, go to one of her workshops, and she can share. So here she is. Let me bring her on. I've never spoken to her before. This is new to me. Hello, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, welcome. It's Mary and Michael. How are you?
Hello, how are you, Andrea?
Guys, it was so interesting hearing you talk. And of course, frequency, vibration. I'm going to drill down on that to another aspect of it, because we are all energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yes.
So I'd like to talk to you about my approach to Lyme disease. How does that sound?
Absolutely. But can you tell us a little bit of your journey? What was your journey that led you kind of on, I guess, the holistic homeopathic approach? Was it going through the traditional medical system and you weren't getting any answers? Or can you give us just a little bit of kind of how the journey started and how it unfolded to where it is now?
Sure. So when I was a teen, my dad had a major coronary when he was 40. And he was then given all kinds of crazy meds, and I could see the terrible reactions he was having, and it just led me to start to read things like Adele Davis at the time was just about all you can get your hands on, and Prevention Magazine. That's what I would read, telling what the latest studies were, and went his way, but it made into learning about holistic medicine and natural ways of approaching the body and herbs and eating healthfully, and that's where it started. And so off of that, then I later pursued certifications as a Master Herbalist, and I was gifted with legendary healers who came into my life. So I really, really got a great overview of herbs and then vibrational medicine through wonderful, wonderful teachers.
That's fantastic. No, that is now that's a wonderful journey when you can kind of allow it to unfold and allow it to unfold with the combination of the vibrational medicine, herbs. Now, what was your situation with Lyme's disease? Was it something that was undiagnosed?
No, I've never had Lyme disease.
Oh, okay.
So I don't get Lyme disease, which we can talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
As in my early on my practice as a Master Herbalist, get well with the herbs and then come back with the same thing. Get well, come back. So I started to realize that for those people, herbs were just a patch. And it was early in my career. I did not want to spend it patching people. That's what pharmaceuticals do. So I researched to learn about vibrational medicine. Now, let me back up a minute. Conventional medicine is based on Newtonian physics. Newton in the 1600s said we are body parts that need repair and replacement, and that's what medicine is based on. Einstein came along in the 1920s and 30s, and he said everything is energy, frequency, vibration. He called it quantum physics. So the simplistic example of quantum physics is the opera singer sings a note, vibrates at a particular frequency. When the champagne glass is brought into the room, if it vibrates at the identical frequency as her note, it shatters. So as a result of Einstein's work, chemistry changed, physics changed, biology did not. Biology is still based on the old Newtonian physics. So the scientists, very excited by this work in quantum physics, started to study the pathogens under the microscope, the bacteria, virus, fungus, to see what was their rate of frequency, what was their vibration. And of course, we now know they all vibrate differently. But from their published work, for example, let's take strep. Strep is a bacteria that has many, many strains to it. And we learned from their work that strep in the throat vibrates at 60.24 cycles per second, whereas strep in the lungs vibrates at 60.92 cycles per second. So very, very close, but not identical, or they would be canceling each other out. So with electromagnetic equipment from Europe, we can very precisely transfer 60.24 cycles per second into a bottle of distilled water. Now, gave you that charged water, and you had no strep in your throat, you'd just be taking expensive water because it would have nothing to communicate with in your body. That's the homeopathic principle. But if you did have strep and you took that charged water, it wouldn't kill the strep off like an antibiotic would. It would dismantle the strep at its atomic level. Isn't that exciting? Think about what you can do now with all sorts of pathogens. So I'll give you a great example. A little girl and her siblings all had strep. All given antibiotics. Siblings recovered, the little girl didn't. And they kept giving her more and more antibiotics, saying it was in her central nervous system, hard to get. So one day the mother said she showed up at the kitchen table what she called an OCD child. She had tics, twitches, and OCD behaviors. And by the time I saw this child, she was 3 years into this pattern. So I work by saliva samples. The DNA, the RNA deposits the toxins of the body, deposits into the saliva, and then I can test the saliva. And when I tested it, I found antibiotic-resistant strains of strep. So, using quantum physics and the electromagnetic equipment, those exact frequencies were made up for her in the form of a dropper bottle. We gave that child the drops, and she completely recovered.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, because of where I live in Westchester, I'm Lyme Central. And so a lot of people come into my office with Lyme disease, and that's how really that became my specialty, not because I ever had Lyme, but because so many people did. And years and years ago, when I first started this Lyme work, about 30 years ago, the AMA said, and they still do today, that Lyme is a bacterial disease. End of story. Now, when all these people started coming into my office with Lyme disease, these were very ill people who were coming. Not people with, 3 to 6 weeks of doxy, end of story kind of stuff. They were coming out of hospital. They were very, very ill. And I had no herbs for Lyme disease. So all I could do was analyze their saliva to see what disease the tick passed in. And I discovered in 100% of the cases, the tick was piggybacked by viruses. Now, antibiotics don't touch viruses, and these people had been on antibiotics, some of them for years. So when I was able to identify what those viruses are, then we could make those frequencies up, give it to them, and cancel out the viruses as well as the spirochetes. Just think about it. If you have a loose spirochete, so to speak, the antibiotic will address it. But if that spirochete is piggybacked by a virus, and what would that be? So when a tick feeds on you, it may feed on a mouse, pick up a strain of hantavirus. It may feed on a dog, pick up a strain of parvovirus. It may then feed on the deer, pick up the spirochete, feed on the human host, and now pass a spirochete by viruses. And that spirochete that is piggybacked by viruses is a different frequency than the singular spirochete. So those are separate frequencies that need to be made up. Now, those bacteria and viruses combined then go into the central nervous system. What does it cause? Brain fog, memory loss, nerve discomfort, headache, joint pain, muscle pain, dizziness, anxiety, so much more. And it's not just the spirochete. So when I gave those people their remedies tailored to them, to the individual, I have no one program for mine. They all recovered. It was amazing. Just amazing. And, at first I wasn't sure about vibrational remedies because I would give everybody herbs and vibrations. I just wanted to get everybody well. And then I realized, wait a minute, how do I know? Are they getting well from the herbs? Are they getting well from the vibrationals? Or maybe a synergistic combination of both? I couldn't be sure. And therefore I couldn't move my practice forward based on something I wasn't sure about. But when those Lyme people came in, they were my control because I had nothing to give them but the vibrational.
No, that's amazing. And did you find a lot of people were almost out of hope, like the medical system was just treating them with something that truly wasn't working, and then they came to you, saw that breakthrough, and then it was like a word of mouth?
Exactly. Usually people come to me last. They usually come last. And then once they've come, if they've gotten bitten by a tick again, they come to me first.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Now, the interesting thing is, like here at the Jersey Shore, where I'm from, a lot of people's dogs have Lyme's disease, and the vets don't really know how to handle it, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I work with dogs and cats. Oh yeah, it's saliva. I work with their saliva samples. I don't even see people in my office anymore. I work remotely, so I can work with people all over the country. And they can send their saliva samples, and then I can analyze them.
And that vibrational energy, that vibrational treatment, you don't see any difference within a human versus an animal. You see the same healing in both.
Exactly. And the animals require less and heal faster.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
They carry with them less of a history of having taken medication and illnesses and things like that. So, there's a lot to clear with an adult, less so with an animal or a child.
Now, the interesting thing with you having a multifaceted approach with medicinal herbs, the vibrational medicine, what is your system now? Do you approach things from that vibrational medicine first? You see how that reacts, and then you'll do a second?
All three. So,
okay.
Someone may have come to me who's been on antibiotics for a long time. Well, now they may have developed candida. And so I can work with them with the vibrational. I can work with them with herbs for the candida as well. Then, of course, we want to address their diet, so there's not a lot of sugar in their diet. So it's a three-pronged approach, always a three-pronged approach, but each prong is individualized to the person. Now, let me answer something that you had asked before. Do I ever have Lyme disease? So I'll tell you, I've lived on this property for 45 years, and there's often a herd of deer here. So I know that there's a lot of deer, a lot of ticks. Years ago, I had a dog who would wander the property. She never left it. She would just wander the property, and she never brought in a tick. She was a Cocker Spaniel. Never brought in a tick. Now, what I did is I have two approaches, one for animals and one for people. So it involves eucalyptus and cedar oil. And you can go on my website, click on Lyme disease, and in the first Lyme article, you'll see all the instructions for how to use it. But basically, what I would do is two things for her. I would dip a rope, a very thin rope, into pure eucalyptus oil, wrap it up in a bandana, and tie it around her neck. People thought I did that to make her look fashionable, but it was to protect her from ticks. And then I also put an ounce of eucalyptus in a 2-cup spray bottle of water. And then every time I sent her out, I would just spray her body, underneath her body, and spray the bandana. And she never brought in ticks. So that's how you protect your pets, because the pet hives are where you're getting your ticks. I mean, I won't allow a dog in the bed for just that very reason. So many people will say to me, well, I leave my home by garage, I drive to work, I go into an office building, I don't touch a blade of grass, and I have Lyme disease. Do you have a dog? Yeah, that's how you get it. So you've got to protect your pets. And then if you're a person who's out and about and you're hiking and you're out for a long time, first of all, you dress accordingly. People know, pull your socks up over your pants, etc. But you can then take a combination of eucalyptus and cedar oil diluted and put it on you. Put it on your skin. If it's diluted in a carrier oil, you can do that. And then it's just the scent that will repel the tick.
And it's such a safer option than putting something on you that you have no idea what kind of crazy chemical concoction could be in it. And if you look at those disclaimers, even on the topical treatments that people are using on their animals, amazing. And some of the some of the side effects, you're like, wow, okay, do I really want to put this on my animal? It's kind of crazy.
That's right. So there are ways to protect yourself, and you just have to be aware.
Andrea, can you describe what the vibrational medicine treatment is or method?
Yeah. So someone will contact me, preferably by email, and that way I can email them back all the information that they need about how this works and how they work with me. And basically, what they're doing is filling out a history sheet with great detail, and then they send in that history sheet with a saliva sample in a padded mailer to keep the integrity of the saliva sample. And then I will analyze that saliva against the thousands and thousands and thousands of frequencies. First, I look at the saliva to see what organs and glands are out of balance based on their symptoms. So everything is based on symptoms, because I can't look at the saliva sample and say, oh, okay, here's everything wrong with you. my parent organization, which is began as Healers Who Share and is now called Purely Resonance. They are the ones with the equipment and the warehouse, and I tell them what to make, and they make it up and send it to my clients. I give them all the directions on how to take it. And basically, it's pretty easy. It's just a matter of easy process. Sometimes it can be a lot of bottles, depending upon, each different person. For some people, it's 3 or 4. For some, it's 8 or 12. And a protocol could last, I don't know, it depends, a month, 3 months. Just, everything depends upon each individual person. And that's why these protocols are so successful. Because when someone comes to me, I'm not saying, oh, here's a Lyme protocol, we'll do that with you. Or here's a candida protocol. Oh, here's one for sinuses. No, it's always individualized.
Now, Andrea, do you do a follow-up with another saliva sample? Or is it like once the symbols are...
Yes.
Okay.
So I always ask them to send me another sample when they're done, and then there's no charge. I want to follow up with them, see how they're doing, see if they've cleared, feel better.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, is there certain steps that someone should take before going into the vibrational medicine, or can they just kind of jump in, or is there like a fasting or a cleansing that they should do prior?
No, not necessary. And if I feel that the body requires that, I will recommend it. I have a great herbal detox that many people use that is very gentle on the body. I'm a great believer in gentle healing, not cataclysmic cleansing. So I do everything in a very gentle way because people are good enough and they can heal a little bit more slowly but thoroughly. And that's the point of doing it this way. It is a thorough approach. It's not you do a little and you keep coming back.
Now, what's interesting, I don't know if this is something that you've incorporated into your practice or if you've seen some of your clients, but I know I've read about certain practitioners overseas in like European countries. They'll use vibrational medicine and they'll use the medicinal herbs for parasite cleanses. And it's interesting here in the States, we don't really look at parasites in people. We treat our pets, and it's not something that's really talked about a lot, but you can see a lot of underlying and prevalent conditions in other countries. They're actually seeing a correlation between that and parasitic infestation. And it seems like, herbal medicine and vibrational frequencies can be a very effective treatment for that. Is that something that you've ever delved into or you're familiar with?
Always. In fact, one of our offices is in Germany. We have offices in different parts of the world. One of them is our German office. But yes, when I'm testing, I'm looking to see is there bacteria, virus, fungus, parasites, chemicals. I test a lot of different things.
So you'll pick up on all of that. That's wow. That's a very broad spectrum. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's a very in-depth, deep dive testing.
Wow. I think I'm going to be sending you a saliva sample. I'm so intrigued by this.
So Andrea, is the so the medicine that you when you ask them to make up specific treatment for the client based on their saliva, are they doing some kind of vibrational work to the actual medicine, or how is
there is actual equipment that transfers these frequencies. So it's a piece of frequency equipment. It almost looks like radio dials. And you can very specifically and precisely transfer the 60.24 cycles per second, example of strep in the throat, into a bottle of distilled water that has been structured to hold that vibration for a couple of years.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I got the connection. I missed that.
Going back to something you had said, Michael, when people come to me with Lyme, some of them still are taking antibiotics, and that's okay. The one does not preclude the other.
Now, is this something that someone could do like, is there certain frequencies that someone could utilize preventatively just to try to keep their body in balance, or would something like that be unnecessary?
Well, we also have emotional frequencies.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
And when I test, I always also test to see, is there an emotional balance that is involved in this?
Wow, that's very interesting. And do you find that you'll see certain emotional imbalances will correlate with a certain ailment, and like they align a lot of times, or is there any correlation to that?
I have not looked for that specifically, and the reason I haven't is because I treat each person so individually that I don't look at the overall to say, oh, look at all those people who have
Okay.
balance with this physical ailment. You know, I don't think of it that way. And frankly, I'm not a good data guy.
Yeah.
I'm so involved with each individual. I don't look at the overall picture like that.
Yeah. That would be interesting, though, to see if there was like some kind of emotional frequency that was like a low vibrating frequency that once you corrected it, you would immediately see some kind of body correction, in a physical ailment. But
there's a whole body of Chinese medicine that talks about how fear is connected to the kidneys and anger is to the liver and grief is connected to the heart. So yes, of course, all of those things.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. Definitely a fascinating topic. Now, do you feel this is something that like ancient civilizations and ancient cultures were really, really tuned into? And I mean, we all know, the Rockefeller Foundation and how he was so tied into big pharmaceutical and establishing that, and through the early American history. What's your situation as far as ancient cultures utilizing this and how it kind of found an awakening in our society, or what's kind of that background?
Well, there's no doubt that ancient societies were using energies for healing. I mean, it's in every culture you can find.
Yeah.
And yes, and then Big Pharma came in and then took homeopathy down a lot of notches, which was, part of the U.S. pharmacopoeia. There were herbs like the natives that were part of the U.S. pharmacopoeia. But all that really got wiped out when Big Pharma came in. But that doesn't mean that you don't have choice. And, I always tell people, you've got to go to the practitioner, conventional or alternative, who looks through a lens that you want to work with. So, for example, if you have a back problem and you go to an acclaimed needle, if you go to a chiropractor, they adjust. You go to an herbalist, they'll give you herbs. And if you go to a surgeon, they'll operate. So I'm an if-then person. If I go to you, then will I want to use, your protocols as soon as your lens. And we're all trained with different lenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you get a sense when you meet someone before they speak, before they tell you that their issue? Do you this is done in person, correct? It's not like you're doing it on the phone.
No, I don't do it in person anymore.
Oh, you don't?
The reason I don't is saliva analysis can take me hours. I'm not going to sit in front of somebody and have them sit there for hours while I work on it. That's something that I can do, in my time, take as long as needs be. And then I will have a phone consultation with them, and then we go over everything. I give it to them in written form. I explain it all.
Can you tell from the saliva what they have without them telling you?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Wait, can you examine the saliva and know what the issue is before they tell you what their issue is?
So theoretically, I can, and I can look at it that way, but I absolutely do not, because the body is so complex that saliva sample would take me all over the place. So what we have to do is create a focus, and the first focus is, why are they coming to me? What is it that is hurting them, paining them, disturbing them? So we work by those symptoms first. We can always, go out into the bigger picture later, but we've got to get them feeling better first.
And what is the initial? When do you start seeing like significant breakthrough with the vibrational medicine, does it depend on the person? Like for some person, could it be within hours? Another person could be within days, or is it very personalized depending on that person's energetic system?
It is very personal. Some people see it in hours or days. I've had people who, when they were in the office, would say on their drive home, they started to feel it. But
oh wow,
you're starting to see changes within a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depends on the person. I mean, my Lyme people really are the ones who see the changes the fastest. And then there are people who come to me who have been sick for so many years that we have lots of levels to go through. We may have to go through maybe 2 or 3 stages. So they may not feel all better until they get to the end, but they're certainly going to feel better along the way.
Now, do you find it's getting easier to basically have people be open to this? You know, it's not a traditional by the book. This is a medical treatment. You know, and like, are you finding people are being, I guess, awakened to these new healing modalities, and they're kind of veering from the traditional medical system when they can't get any answers, and people are kind of looking for something now, something new like this.
35 years ago when I started as a Master Herbalist, people would look at me cross-eyed. And then as the years went by and I started to focus my talk more about Lyme disease, something they could wrap their head around, because everybody either had it or knew someone who did, then they started to have more resonance with me about working naturally with these approaches. So it's taken time. And, there's much more out there now that you can be available. But I do find that people, when they've exhausted everything else, it's like, why not?
No, absolutely. It's very interesting. And what I find most fascinating about it is I had a very good friend of mine who dealt with Epstein's-Barr and was misdiagnosed for years. They couldn't figure out what was going on. And, initially it was a B12 deficiency and had a number of different things. And when he started looking into medicinal herbs, that's when he actually started getting some healing and made a breakthrough. And I think it was like probably almost a 10-year journey before he was truly diagnosed by the medical system with Epstein's-Barr. And then I don't believe the traditional medical system was able to heal him. I do believe it was homeopathic medicine that he was kind of turned on to by a family member that was a nurse that was like, look, the traditional medical system isn't healing you. Maybe try this. And that's where his healing occurred, But it was interesting because he would have never thought to do that. And I think that's with most people, we're so caught up in the traditional medical system, maybe someone needs to expose us to this or, a show like this. I think it's great that you're out there doing this. And it's just amazing how many people I think could heal and could completely bypass all the medications and all the side effects of the medications and, all the negative aspects of that if they would just look at this type of healing modality first,
Right.
So it's a great thing you're doing. I really appreciate that because I'm like that ever learning student. And this is something I find fascinating because I find sound healing fascinating. So mixing those sound frequencies into vibrational medicine, how you're doing it, that just takes it to a whole new level. It's an amazing thing.
So many levels with energy, vibrational healing. And look, like you were talking about your friend, it's always by word of mouth. I don't advertise. I have my website for information, but I don't advertise. Everybody who comes to me is word of mouth. So each one, in fact, many times when I have a woman in my practice, she'll say, oh, I have to bring my husband or boyfriend to you. And I say, don't. See you get well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. And if people would just open to non-traditional ways of healing, I think so many people would find their bodies coming around and, wouldn't be dealing with all the ailments they are.
That's right. And then going back to that Epstein-Barr, I want to say to you, there's many ways to approach that Epstein-Barr. In our lens, Epstein-Barr has many different frequencies. There are many different forms of Epstein-Barr. Epstein Barr.
Interesting.
The form that came in with COVID. So to give an herb is actually a more allopathic approach. You take that natural energetic approach by tailoring what your Epstein-Barr vibration is. I mean, it gets very specific.
That's fascinating. And so that would be very similar to what you were speaking about in Lyme disease, and you were seeing all those variations in Lyme disease, so a very similar way it unfolds, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very interesting world out there.
No, it is. I think you're going to be getting a swab of saliva from myself and Mary Amy. What do you say, Mary Amy?
Definitely.
Swabs of saliva?
No, you know what?
So I give you the directions on how to do it correctly.
I'd be really curious.
I'm finding as this conversation has moved, from the beginning, that there's a lot of connections with this information with some of my experiences, and one of which is what I can, and it's not exactly the same, obviously, but I know flower essences. I remember. So you can find them in some kind of whole food stores or organic stores or health food stores, and for everyone who's listening, and then the guest and Michael, if I know that Andrea knows this. There are these little bottles, and going back way back, I don't even know how long ago I found these, and they have a little chart, and it'll tell you just take a drop of this and you put it in water, and it gives you some kind of healing, or it shifts energetically, and it does have something to do with vibrational medicine, doesn't it, Andrea?
So what you're talking about, I'm pretty sure, the Bach flower essences, and the Bach flowers are to the emotional body what these vibrational remedies are to the physical body. And so with the Bach flowers, when I have someone who's dealing with a lot of emotional issues, I have a very extensive questionnaire that relates to the Bach flower remedy. And then once they answer those questions, then I can narrow down what their remedy should be. Because sometimes it's hard to go into the health food store and say, oh, maybe this or maybe that. But actually, we can make a formula of 5 or 6 of those remedies into one bottle. And then it addresses many different aspects of someone's emotional composition.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to even combine the Bach flowers with the vibrational. And sometimes I do that.
Very fascinating. This is like when I had the guest a few weeks ago, and I then decided now I have to read the whole book, 1,333 pages. It's the same thing. Now I have a whole other thing I have to learn about. If we brought in a caller, I don't know if it's going to be related to you. Would you like to hang on?
Sure.
Okay, great. What do you think, Michael?
Anyone that maybe has some question regarding vibrational medicine or herbal medicine, something that maybe they're going through in the physical body or the emotional body, and maybe Andrea can give her, give any of our callers a little insight and guidance in that realm.
Yes, let's try that. Okay, this person's been holding for an hour, so we're gonna. I don't screen the calls. We're just gonna pop them on. Here we go. Hi, this is Mary, Michael, and Andrea. Who's this?
Oh, hi. This is Val. I wish you were closer in New York. I would have loved. I'd sent you the not the message. I made the comment. Where in New York? How far are you from Albany?
Oh, you're in Albany. Yes, you
pretty close, like 5 minutes.
Day.
So what's up, Val?
How are you?
You too. Good, thank you.
So we have our specialist here that's Andrea Candee that specializes in vibrational medicine, medicinal herbs, and eating. Did you have any specific question that dealt with vibrational medicine on an emotional, physical level, or medicinal herb healing?
Actually, I do. Going in this direction, this is great. Okay, I suffer with depression, and it can get pretty bad. And I do take medicine, and I hate medicine. I hate medicine. My doctor will prescribe me things over the phone because she knows she doesn't have to worry about me taking advantage of running to the pharmacy to get things I don't need. Like, I hate medicine.
Okay.
And what can you suggest for, like, depression, bipolar? I mean, I do think I need the medicines I'm on, which, again, I hate medicine. But is there anything you can maybe suggest that I can, maybe so I can lessen what I take? I'd love to get off of them, but I don't know if that's realistic, and I do have to be, I have to be realistic in my life as much as I sometimes wish I didn't. But if I could even lessen what I take, it would be phenomenal. Is there anything you might be able to suggest that to work?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, first of all, let me say, I will never suggest to anybody when they are on a medication long-term to ever come off it. That's number
right.
one. Sometimes they are able to wean off slowly after, doing other things. But no, I don't mess with that. Besides which,
right. And can I say this? I appreciate that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I appreciate that. And that's why I said, for me, just to think like, oh, I'll go off of them and try something. I know that's not realistic, and I would never do that. But if there's anything you can suggest, maybe in addition.
Yes. So the other thing I want to say is, I would not mix herbs with medication because herbs is another form of a chemical.
Okay.
You can mix the vibrationals very nicely.
Okay.
So again, I would analyze saliva and see, based on your symptoms, depression, and whatever else goes along with it for you, to see how that's affecting your organs and glands. Is that attracting any pathogens to those organs and glands? Or can it work purely on the emotional vibrational level? Many times, the adrenals are affected by anxiety and depression. So we look at all of that. What is the best approach while you're still taking, of course, your medication?
According to that approach, I didn't hear the rest. I'm sorry.
And in other words, we're looking at that approach of using not herbs but vibrational, how it's affecting your body in different ways, all of this depression and anxiety, because it can affect your adrenals and other organs and glands. So we're looking to see what vibrational will strengthen the area, or perhaps even neutralize any pathogens that have come in with it.
Okay. All right. So they would work with like serotonin levels and things?
No, I don't work on that physical level. That's working with a nutritionist, a lens. In our lens, we can work with the emotional body. We have lots and lots of emotional frequencies, lots of them. Some of them are from past lives. Some of them are from this life. Some of them are about fear. There's a lot. And disappointment. We have frequencies for all of those things to help a person move through those states.
Oh, is anybody there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I lost everybody for a minute.
No. So Val, what you could definitely do if you find that interesting and fascinating, maybe utilizing some of the vibrational frequency to work on an emotional level, that may be able to work in conjunction with what you're already doing. Maybe try to find some type of blend or balance in that. But now, if you wanted to reach out to find out more about this, you could definitely reach out. Now, Andrea, what are going to be the best ways that someone can reach out to you and kind of be open to this protocol and learn a little bit more about it?
Go to my website, AndreaCandee.com. It's Andrea, Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Candee.com.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm just typing this to myself so I have it.
And we'll have it listed on the page.
Oh, you will.
information
Oh,
also.
okay.
Yeah, on the two
That's
sites.
fantastic.
You read about vibrational medicine there, and then where it says contact Andrea, it gives you my email, and just contact me and say, I would like to work with you. That's all you have to say.
Okay.
Or I would like to work with you about depression. And then I will email you all the information you need to do a saliva analysis, fill out a history form, and start to work with me.
Ah, it's that easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's not easy, like, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I thought there would be a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very simple, and then you can learn about utilizing some of these natural techniques, or more natural, and maybe utilize those with what you're doing. But I think it's fascinating, and being able to look at things from a vibrational approach, and we all are energy, it makes perfect sense, so I think this is something that I'm fascinated by, and I think I'm going to be sending in a saliva sample. So, no,
I'm fascinated. It sounds very interesting. It's amazing how you can go to a doctor for something, and don't get me wrong, I think doctors have there's a great purpose and a great need for them, but to also be able to look at it from a different angle and say, here's a new approach, let's utilize this in what you're, whatever it is that may ail you or your ailments. I don't know.
There are great tests out there. I mean, the medical community has amazing tests. You go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis via those tests. That's something we can work with.
Right, exactly. And I just think it's fascinating, that there are some people say, no, I went to my doctor and they gave me this. Well, have you looked? No, they're the doctor. Well, open your mind. There are other options. It's not the end-all, be-all, but it's a good place to start. And, yeah, so I will definitely.
That's part of the battle, Val. That's part of the battle, is being open to this and looking at maybe outside perspective that you wouldn't normally, look at. And that's what this is all about, looking outside the box, trying to utilize other approaches to healing in conjunction with what you're doing. So there's definitely an approach where you can incorporate this. So that's what I would say, is definitely go to the website, check it out, and then once you start utilizing this vibrational medicine, you can call us back at Two Psychics and let us know how it's going. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you so much for calling, Val.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Well, you know what? I really am glad I did grab you, because this was a way to show listeners how if you have, something that's been going on, or you have some kind of ailment, how to approach it. Like, I wouldn't have known you can't take medicine with herbs. So that's really... I
wouldn't have either.
Yeah, that's amazing. But thank you so much for calling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you all.
All right. Have a great day.
Yeah. You
Bye.
too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow, I really am glad that she called in. That was great. So, Andrea, before you go, I just want to let you know, I did just, funny enough, receive an email from someone, and it came to me, and I don't know if it's supposed to be forwarded to you. And it's somebody who said, can you tell me more? I heard you on the show. And she asks how many sessions, and I'll forward this to you. What's the name of the collaborative that you work with? Do you work with doggies? How much are the products? I want to be sure I can start to finish what I need with you. So you already have some kind of response that came to my email. So before you go, is there anything you'd like to share with us or a message for our listeners?
Well, the message I want to give your listeners is we want to be open to the best of all worlds. And sometimes you just never know where that's going to come from. So staying open, heart open, listening to what people have to say with an open heart, with an open ear. And then you will find your path. And sometimes when you've been on a long journey of healing and feel like you haven't gotten any place, maybe there was a reason. Maybe you've learned something along the way. So staying open, I think, is really important. And I'm sure you guys can tune into that for people. What was their message? What was their learning to go through all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So important. So important to look at it that way.
Well, I have to say this. I'm out of my realm with this, and I am taking and advising, this show that we should bring in different kinds of guests so that we are helping with alternative holistic approaches, which is something right here we found out about tonight, and I'm really grateful that you joined us. And so how can people reach you, or are there any events that you're upcoming doing? Share with us that.
I am in January. I do my next Near Garden Nature's Pharmacy, and that is 2 Saturdays in January. And if you go to NY Botanical Garden, there you can sign up for them. I do it on Zoom, and it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, and it gives you a really great deep dive, as you can well imagine, over the course of a total of 4 hours, on how to use herbs for natural healing. And that doesn't have vibrationals at all. That's my herbal side. So that's something I love to share with people, because my theme is take charge of your wellness naturally, and give them a lot of tools that they can implement for themselves and their families. And that's why I wrote my book, Gentle Healing for Baby and Child. It's not just for children. Adults use it. It's just that the editor at Simon Schuster said, parents have a hard time using herbs for children, so let's write it for parents. So it's written in a parent-friendly way, but everything in there adults use. And it's just a great, they called it the natural Dr. Spock. I remember as a child, my mother was always thumbing through the index of Dr. Spock.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? We're going to write the natural Dr. Spock. And so, that's what that book is about.
Well, it was lovely having you this evening, and I'm sure I'm going to run into you. I'll make a point. I am interested in, I am getting actually friends that are texting me right now saying that they are going to go see you.
I think it's interesting what you're doing, including all of this, opening it up, because we are all part of this same vibration. I think it's a wonderful thing what you're doing and offering this to people. So thank you for having me on.
And
absolutely. Thank you for being a part of the show. It was a pleasure.
It was great. And I'm sure I'll meet you I'll meet you in person at some point. And maybe it'll be.
I'm sure we will. All the best.
Yes. Thank you, Andrea. And what's your website again for everybody?
Candee.com.
Okay. And everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Take care, Andrea. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, wow. That's fascinating to me. What happened was part of the time I couldn't hear what she was saying because for some reason it's not coming through like the sound so clearly. So I wasn't clear about how it was vibrational. And then she explained it, but it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that is. And I find it fascinating being a musician and knowing and working with sound frequencies and looking at the aspects of healing that can come from them. Yeah, it is fascinating. And, everything I'm dealing with, because, I have a dog that has bladder cancer. So we're treating our one dog holistically. We're trying to do a lot. We're seeing very significant results, very positive results with her. And we are part of the healing process that we're incorporating is homeopathic medicine, and that is based on frequency. So, I'm personally seeing aspects of healing coming from that. So I'm completely fascinated with what she's doing and taking it to another level with the vibrational medicine, mixing that with the medicinal herbs. And, I think it's something that people need to really kind of shift their perspective and be open to these natural healing modalities, especially when you look at big pharma and so many of the side effects. And when you look at most medicine, it's derived for the most part from some natural plant or natural herb or a bark, or, you look at all these different natural homeopathic remedies, and there is some correlation in the pharmaceutical field. And it's so interesting how they could be so similar but so different. It's a really intriguing, interesting aspect of vibrational medicine. It really is. It's fascinating.
Well, I believe that the fact that I got some kind of random person emailing me just now about her, and then a few friends said they have to go see her, it's a hit.
Yeah.
So,
it's really
and maybe
cool.
it's because we're going off our path of psychics and mediums. So we do have some listeners that are holding, and we've had multiple people, some left, some have held on. Would you like to take a few callers now, because we have we have less than 30 minutes, so we have to keep our time. So figure 12 minutes per person or 10 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, whatever you think. I'm going to do a quick shout out. So I have an event tomorrow night at Whole Body Wellness. If anyone is in the area in New Jersey or wants to come in and hang out and do a workshop with me, it's Intro to Opening Your Energetic Body and Psychic Awareness. So it's all the fundamentals about what we're doing on here, what we talk about, working with your energy, working with your energetic body, taking your intuitive abilities, developing them into psychic abilities. So if you're interested, if you are in the area, you can jump onto my Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley Facebook page. I have a link posted to the top, and it'll give you all the information to getting tickets or, coming out and enjoying a really cool workshop with me tomorrow night, if anyone is interested. And then I have a reading and Reiki's event, a psychic event at the Garden State Distillery on, I believe that is the 17th, Sunday the 17th. So if anyone out there is interested, jump onto my Facebook page. I have the Spirits with Michael Edley. All the information will be on there. I think we're getting a couple new followers on Two Psychics radio show. So if you are also out there and you're in the world of Facebook and social media, like and follow our Two Psychics radio show page. And I'm going to put this out there again. If you go to our Two Psychics radio show and you like and share the page, between now and Christmas Eve, we are going to pick, I believe, I think at least 2 callers, possibly as many as 4 callers, for your own private mini reading with myself and Mary. So you got to like and share our Two Psychics radio show page, send that out on your Facebook feed, and you will get into the running for a free private mini reading with us. Sound good, Mary Amy?
Yes, and it's been coming to me, because I do receive messages, that we are going to have an event with you and I and some other guests that we've had on. And what it presented more to me just now, because I kind of went to that, you get a flash of information. And since January will symbolize 1 year, in January we're going to be having an event, and it's going to be a live event, and there's going to be tickets, and there's going to be other practitioners or psychics or mediums or channelers. And Michael, what do you think?
I would tell our listeners that we have some really cool stuff in the works. Stay tuned, and we will be announcing some really cool stuff. The 25 is going to be coming at you. really fast with a lot of really cool
when
things.
we're going to have this massive event. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Okay, so let's take a caller. Oh, by the way, everyone, you can reach Michael at michaeledley.com, and you can reach me at maryamyofficial.com. And if you would like some Two Psychics radio merchandise, go to Spreadshop. If you look at our page that we have, you can see links. Okay, so let's see. This individual has been holding for 51 minutes, and they are coming on right now. Hi, who's this? It's Mary and Michael.
Hi, Mary and Michael. This is Teresa. I'm a new caller.
Hi, Teresa.
Hello, Teresa. How are
Welcome
you
to
doing?
Two Psychics, episode 35.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. And how is it out in Oregon?
Actually, it's not bad. Today was a beautiful day today. Really nice.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
You can predict it.
Oh, very cool. So what question did you have, Teresa, for Two Psychics?
So I had a dream about a month ago, and the dream had these small black snakes with yellow stripes on the sides. And I remembered the dream. And they weren't trying to get at me or anything, even though I don't like snakes. But I remembered it. It was pretty profound. Yesterday, when I came home, one of those snakes was at my garage door.
Okay. Interesting.
Premonition.
Yeah. How long ago was that dream?
About a month ago.
About a month ago. Okay. So let's so what we're going to do, we're going to connect to your energy. We're basically connecting our energy to your energy, and then we're going to allow the spirit realm to kind of unfold around us. So if you don't mind, if you could just give me your name, your first name one time slowly, and that will allow us to connect to your energy.
Sure. My name is Teresa.
Okay, Teresa. What I find fascinating, this is absolutely some type of premonition or prophetic vision that you had. Now, what I'm curious to know, I don't know if you can recall what was going on or if you had asked a question, but around getting that vision or that dream of the black and yellow snakes, what was going on? Like before you went to bed or around that time, was there something very prevalent, like a question, hey, what's going to go on with this aspect of my life or what's happening? Like was there a question you were asking to, your guides, the universe, to God? Like what was going on in your mind when you saw the black and yellow snakes in your dream?
I think at that time, so I was in a job that I just hated. Okay. I was completely burnt out, and I have since retired.
Oh, okay, cool. Now, were you on the cusp of should I retire, should I not retire, should I hold out? Was there some unknowns or some variables of should I, shouldn't I going on with that?
No, absolutely not. I was counting the minutes.
Okay, so you were counting it down. Okay, so I'm just trying to kind of psychically feel what I'm connecting to around here, around like that symbolism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the black and yellow snakes to the side for a second, because I actually have to talk about, I have female energy coming in, definitely from mom's side. So I'm kind of shifting into medium mode a little bit, and I this is kind of taking over my energetic focus. So I have to bring that information through. But I do have, this is interesting. So there's shorter older woman that would have passed with lighter, like a dirty blonde hair. I do believe she's connected to mom. This is either mom or grandma that I have with me. So I have to ask, mom's side, is mom in spirit? If this isn't mom, I definitely have grandmother that would have been connected to mom.
Not my mom.
Okay, so grandmother that's connected to mom. She's in spirit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So does that make sense to you? Like, was she a little bit shorter or dirty blonde hair? Because I have someone that's connected to mom's energy. That's how their energy's coming through. What's interesting, though, she seems younger so this could even be an aunt that's connected to mom. And I'm also getting, I don't know if she's giving me a name that's connected to you here in the physical, or that would have been around them, but I'm seeing the T significantly, a T initial. Can you take a T initial to someone that would be either around you in spirit, or that they're speaking about the significance to that T to you right now?
No. Not at
No
all.
T, like a Teresa, a Tom, like a TR?
No.
Okay.
That's me, but no.
No, yeah. So is there another T that would be connected to you in spirit? Like, were you named after somebody, or was a middle name, or is there a connection to someone around you that the name would be similar or taken from?
No.
Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure whether it's showing me that T. I would be aware of if there. Let me just see what she's showing me. Interesting. When I focus on her energy, I have older male energy stepping in. That definitely has military connections, and I also don't know why I'm seeing like Irish symbolism. So I have to ask: is there family connection or something that connects you to Ireland?
That's in my. I'm Spanish, German, and Irish, and Mexican.
Okay. So I definitely have some loved ones in spirit that are around you. Obviously, we're not doing a full mediumship session, so I'm just kind of pulling some energy, and I'm kind of throwing the energy at you real quick. But I have to acknowledge older female energy with the Ireland connection. Now, the interesting thing with the T, I do believe there's old female energy connected to mom. That I have that T, and I don't know, I'm getting like a TH, like a Teresa or something that would be similar to that, and I do feel like I'm connected to female energy, so I don't know how open mom is to this or that, you were connected to a medium, but I would just be curious to know about a TH or the T being significant around mom and possibly connected to her side of the family or someone that would have been around her. So I just have to talk about that. I also have to. The interesting thing is, I don't know why I'm seeing like country. I'm seeing like old country music symbolism. So I'm seeing Kenny Rogers. I don't know what the deal is with or Kenny Rogers, but was there someone around you or you that there's significance to like Kenny Rogers and or someone that would have looked like him with that beard, like that thicker, kind of longer, like 70s, like haircut, weird. Like I don't know why I'm seeing literally I'm seeing a picture in my mind's eye of Kenny Rogers. So I don't know if the name Ken is around you. They're trying to give me that name, someone that looks like him, or there's some symbolism to the actual musician, the actual artist Kenny Rogers. But I have to mention that because it's coming through. It's in your energetic field somewhere. So I have to talk about that. So there's definitely some symbolism. The interesting thing, okay, so I have to talk about dad in spirit. Can you confirm that? Is dad in spirit? Dad is around you in spirit?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why I'm getting a lot of this symbolism. Now, I don't know if there was something with Kenny Rogers and dad, or the name Ken or the K, or there's something that like mom may be connected to there that dad would be talking about, but I definitely have like father energy around you. I have to acknowledge his energy, and I do have to acknowledge he's talking about in his past. What's interesting is, for some reason, he's bringing my attention. Is this like 70? I'm being brought to early 70s, so I don't know if he's giving me like a birthday of you, if you were like 72, 73, or some significance to like 1972 or 1973, but can you take that year? Are you familiar with some significance to 72, 73?
Not really, no.
Okay, not sure whether it's showing me that year. I do believe there's some symbolism maybe around the family, maybe another family member passed around that. And like I said, they're just downloading like lots of pieces of information to me really quick, so I don't want to discredit it, and I want to, I do want to share that since it's coming through so prevalently in your energetic field. So let me just kind of reiterate what I'm seeing around you again before I turn this over to Mary Amy, and she may be able to interpret some of the dream state that you were going in around the snake and everything. But I have to acknowledge father, dad's energy around you. I do have to acknowledge some type of military connection to him. So either he's talking about his military connection or a military connection in that side of the family. I do also, when I connect to grandma's energy that's tied to mom, there's some significance to that T, that TH around her that she's drawing my attention to. The Irish, the Ireland connections are very prominent. Also, I'm not sure what the Kenny Rogers symbolism is, or the name Ken or Roger, something to that effect. So I do have to mention that. And then again, I'm not sure what the 72 now. Okay, so let me talk about this. Is July significant with someone passing? July 2nd, July 3rd, July. So the 7. I'm trying to see why they're showing me the 7. Is July a significant birthday, anniversary, date of someone's passing?
Yeah, my brother passed away in July.
Okay, so that's what they're. Okay, so I would definitely say as I'm connecting to Dad's energy, that's why he's bringing my attention to the July month. And understand with me when I'm so disregard the 7, the 7-2, 7-3 because they were showing me the significance of the July, the 7 that correlates with the month of July. So understand they're around you. If there was any grief around not being connected to them, they're absolutely connected to you. If I can connect to them this strongly, this quick, in just like a mini reading kind of opening up on the radio like this, they're very connected to your energy. And I definitely feel that you can connect to them on a level where in your dreams, since you're having such prolific dreams, they'll absolutely communicate and give you messages there first. And what that tells me is your waking mind, you're probably very caught up in that, or you think a lot, or there could be a lot of stuff going on that's pulling you out of your present kind of quiet zone. And if you can get there by doing like some kind of art or walking in nature, in Oregon, I'm sure you got lots of beautiful scenery. And, this time of year, if it's changing like it here is on the East Coast, I would definitely say in nature, you would be very connected to the energetic connection of your loved ones that are around you. So I would definitely just try to kind of quiet down and connect to them, because I do believe they're coming in very strongly to me to try to reach out and let you know you are being supported by your collective, your loved ones, the same, the angelic presence that's around you. But Mary Amy, what are you getting with the dream interpretation? You're the dream queen.
Hi, Teresa. This is Mary. I'm so glad you called in tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
So, all right. In regard to the snakes, I find that very validating that you a dream and then the a premonition dream and then it actually happened, because that is validation, that's synchronicity. And so what you're saying is it was 2 weeks prior you had the dream to it actually happening?
About a month.
Oh, a month. Okay. And so if symbolically you look at the fact these snakes, and you said they had yellow stripes or something like that, so you remembered they were, well, those are or can be some kind of warning, or if you want to take it to a negative place, but that's not where I'm taking it. I would say that it's representing some kind of negative person that's around you. It's not like you didn't get bit by it in your dream. It wasn't attacking you. It was just next to you, right? Isn't that what you said?
It was next to the garage door, but in my dream there were several of them, and it was like they were in a container and they were trying to get out.
Okay, well, but they didn't get out. So what I'm trying to say, in the dream they got out?
Yep.
Okay. Well, did they harm you?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. So they didn't harm you, and then they didn't harm you in person, but it's a representation of a negative person. So there's that. That's what I received. What I did get for you was right away when you first started speaking, I saw a fish and a cat catching the cat. I mean, the cat catching the fish, and I saw netting for fishing, and that means, or I'm realizing that means that you reached a goal. I also saw birds flying south. I don't know if that means you're taking some kind of trip. And then I saw a bonnet, and that's regarding you defending yourself. What I'm acknowledging about your hearing you is that you're holding on to something from the past. It's creating a fogginess, and I saw woods surrounding you, and I'm going to ask you to dig deep. This is going to be my suggestion to you, to dig deep. I know Michael was giving so much information to you at one point, and there is evidence there of truth. I'd like you to step back and listen to this later, so know that this show, you came on at around 9. All right, so what I'm going to ask you right now is if we can do a walkthrough of an exercise to kind of break through.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so let's, you said you're the first caller. I don't know if you've ever heard this show before, but from time to time I give these little exercises about kind of tuning into yourself, right? Because so much of what we are living through every day is about our external world, and I don't know how much of this you are involved in, like on most of your lifetime while you're awake. You mention your dreams, which means you're tuning into your dreams, which, like, kudos to you, because that's great right there. But, like, I believe, speaking to you and hearing your voice, that it would help you if you tune more into yourself. So what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to close your eyes, get into a comfortable position. I'd like you to sit or lay down and really put all of your weight, like I always say, in your bottom, because we want to let go of any stress that we have. We're going to have a breakthrough moment right now, Teresa. And so you're going to put all your weight in your bottom, and the base of your spine, your root chakra, you're going to imagine it plunging down deep, deep, deep into the earth, okay? Because we're going to ground ourselves. You're going to imagine your feet going down deep into the earth. Below the soil, you're wiggling your toes. All right, and now your shoulders, your head, your neck, you're moving it all around, your arms. You're letting go of any tension that you have. You're letting out a breath. You are imagining all the energies traveling through your arms, out to your fingertips, okay? And you're right here in this moment, because this is where all the power lies. It doesn't lie 5 minutes from now, 5 minutes before. It's right here in this moment. Nothing matters except this moment, okay? And so I'd like you to have gratitude. Be like, oh my gosh, in your mind, I'm so happy for this moment. And let's take away any doubt that we can do this, all right? So, Teresa, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just focus on your breath. We don't really have time to do 3 inhales and exhales, but I'm going to be quiet for a second, and everybody who's listening, you two out there, I'd like you to focus on your breath. So you're just focusing on your breath, taking all your attention to your breath, staying on focusing your breath. You're inhaling. You're holding it, and you're releasing it, okay? So we're just more relaxed. We're more like, oh, nothing's that important. Right now I'm just here quietly listening to Mary tell me what to do. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to tune into your heart. So in other words, you're going to go to your heart space, which is your heart chakra. You're going to tune into your heart. And you're going to just ask yourself, you don't have to share with us, but you're going to ask yourself, how am I feeling? Because this is where it all starts. Because when we love ourselves and we connect to our heart, that's everything else follows. So I'm going to be quiet for a minute. I'm going to ask myself, Michael, you ask yourself, and Teresa, you ask yourself, how am I feeling? Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine in this heart space that there is a ball of light the size of a ping pong ball, and this ball of light is spinning clockwise, and as it's spinning, it's expanding. And as it's spinning, it's gleaming, it's glistening, it's letting out sparks of light, and it's hitting your flesh, your bones, your organs, your cells. And as this ball of light is hitting your inside of your heart chakra, you're accepting it. You're feeling a little bit more safe. You're letting out a breath. And it's spinning 3 times clockwise. 1, it's getting larger. 2, 3. And as this is happening, you're beginning to realize there's something that you've wanted. There's something that you've wished for. And now the light, this ball of light is expanding larger, and it's filling your whole entire heart chakra, and it's spinning counterclockwise. It's getting larger and larger, and you're feeling more and more at ease and more accepting of yourself. And you're realizing more and more exactly what you want. And now this ball of light has covered your entire torso, your head. And it's feeling warm, and it's creating this hope inside of you and this willingness for change. And now this entire ball of light is covering your physical being. And you sense that worry and anxiety has left you. And in this moment, you're going to ask yourself, or you're going to tell yourself exactly what you want. Something that you're reaching far, far back into your past, and you're bringing it forward. And you're allowing yourself to have this dream, this present dream from your past. And this light is surrounding you, and you're giving it permission to make your wish come true. And in this moment, you're having self-love and acceptance. And I'm going to pause, and you're going to, in your mind and in your mind, body, spirit, you're going to visualize this wish, this hope that you've had from your past with all of your senses. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? And you're going to remind yourself that your feet are deeply, deeply in the earth's surface. And you're having gratitude. And I'm going to be quiet right now for a minute. Okay. All right. So there you are. And I'd like you to remind yourself when you wake up tomorrow morning of exactly what this is that you asked for. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, Teresa. So I'm hoping, are you still there?
Yes.
I'm so grateful that you joined us tonight. And I know whatever it is from your past, you're going to receive it.
Great.
Thank you so much for calling in, Teresa. I think you just got to kind of take a step back, tune into that psychic awareness that's definitely present in you, and allow that to start guiding and unfolding around you. I think you'll find it's very, very amazing of how you get some insight and guidance from that, and just build upon that. But thank you so much, Teresa, for calling in.
Thank you, Teresa.
You found us.
And thank you. I hope you come back. I hope you listen again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Oh, Mary, Amy, we had a jam-packed show tonight. Filled it with a lot of stuff.
I know, it was fun. I just went off. I just followed my intuition.
Absolutely. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, I just threw that in there. I'm so glad for everyone who joined us tonight, who is listening. And I want to remind you that next week, episode 37, November 14th, we have Bonnie Rogers. And if you would like to find any information about her, it's bonniesherbals.com. And after this show ends, you will see her show that's listed on our blogtalkradio.com. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
All right, everyone, be well. Bye-bye.